My first overall play is going to be Josh Allen over 259.5 passing yards. In this video, we're going to go over exactly why that's my favorite, along with 5 other picks, guys. Stay tuned for an entire slip. If you guys are brand new to this channel, welcome. We talk about plus EV betting. What that means is just simply profitable sports betting. We show you guys, the viewers, how to become a profitable sports bettor by just observing markets and also going over other strategies. One of those strategies in this video that we will be covering is going to be correlation. Correlation in sports is just taking 2 independent variables, and as long as they affect each other positively, meaning that Josh Allen, if he positively affects the outcome of another player on the field, that is called positive correlation. And the same thing can be said for negative correlation. We never want to take players that are negatively correlated. And what we're going to be doing is putting together a 5-flex, 6-flex slip here for PrizePicks, going over all correlated plays that give this slip long-term profitability. Let's now go over the fundamental basics of what a fixed payout platform is. On PrizePicks, the payouts never change. You put together a 6-flex, a 5-flex, 2-man power, whatever the combination of players you put together, the payouts will never change, with some exceptions, of course. But let's go ahead and just walk this through just to show you guys. I can take all kinds of plays from all different kinds of sports, take the over or under of any specific player, and then pair them together in whatever combination that I want, and the payouts will never change. For a 6-man flex slip, I will always get 25x for going 6 out of 6, for 5 out of 6, 2x, and then 4 out of 6 going getting only 0.4x back in return, your initial payout, right? So if you put in $100, that total of $2,500 will never change, even if I click different combinations of the player props, take the overs or unders, right? And why this is beneficial to know is because this is going to be utilized within our strategy a little bit later on in the video with correlating plays together, meaning that, again, 2 independent variables, if I put them together, it's going to organically increase the chances that both those players hit, their overs or their unders, right? And let's go ahead and go over the math, why we are putting these into a 6-flex slip as opposed to like a 2-man power where it's technically easier to hit, or a 3-man power, 4-man power. Why do we always put these in 6-flex slips or 5-man? We're going to go over the advanced math here. The average sports bettor hits an individual player prop at a 50% hit rate, meaning that if they have no tools, no market research, no anything, and they're just going off their sports knowledge, the average casual sports bettor hits at a 50% clip. Meaning that if you were to take player props, individual legs, over the long term, you're going to hit 50% of those props, those individual legs, right? So let's now dive deeper into the math, because the way that PrizePicks operates is very closely to a sports book. They have set payouts, but how do those payouts translate to what the hidden math shows in terms of the overall value per leg? And what this sheet is going to show you is the amount, the EV, the amount of profitability that you get on each individual hit rate for each individual leg, and showing you the overall percent chance to hit within those legs. So for instance, I know I just said a whole bunch of nothing to you guys, but let's actually like dive deeper in here. Say for a 2-man powers, I hit at a 50% hit rate. Obviously, I'm going to lose money long term. Like nobody playing above 50% or slightly above 50% is going to be a profitable long-term bettor, right? And the way that we determine that is by hitting at a 50% rate. On average, we're only going 0 of 2 25% of the time. We're hitting 1 of 2 50% of the time, and then we're going 2 of 2 25% of the time. But that's not enough to outweigh the plus EV value that you would get in profitability in the long term. So let's hypothetically say I bump this up to 53%. I'm still going to lose money in the long term because I'm only going to go 0 of 2 22.09% of the time, 1 out of 2 49.82% of the time, and then 2 out of 2 slightly increase those chances. I'm looking for a 33.33% hit rate or higher on 2-man powers to break even, right? So that break even percentage is going to be hitting those individual legs, and I've only know this because I've been doing it so many times, at a 57.75 individual prop hit rate. So if I hit at that rate over the long term on average, I'm breaking even. I'm going above that 33.35% break even point, right? I have to go 2 of 2 over 33.33% of the time to remain profitable in the long run. Now, why this is really good to know is because we want to know that break-even percentage and how that translates over the 6-flex and 5-flex slips. So let's go ahead and start out with 6-flex slips. Let's see if I hit at a 50% hit rate, if I'm going to be profitable. Heck no. Nope, definitely not. How about 52%? Nope. I'm showing you the true percents to hit on going 0 6, 1 6, given this actual win percentage. What about 54%? We're getting there, but we're still not profitable. What about 54.21% of the time? That's the break even per leg for you to remain profitable in the long run. on average, right? Like obviously a very unlucky bettor, even if they're hitting at a 54.21% hit rate, like they could have the worst luck in the world and not profit in a couple months, right? Like that's just the variance perspective of this all. So anyway, that's why, because we're showing you a 54.21% hit rate here is significantly lower than the threshold, the true percent odds to hit of 57.75. That gives you a lot more bang for your buck, a lot more leg room here to only hit at a 54.21%. Would you rather have to hit at a 57% hit rate or a 54.21? Like, just do the math, right? Logically. And then in a 5-man flex slip, it's about the same, slightly different, but that's why we prefer 6 flex slips here, and why we're going to be taking advantage of correlation in 6-man flex slips as opposed to 2-man powers. So now let's go ahead and dive deeper into this correlation strategy, at least on these fixed payout platforms like PrizePicks, like Underdog, like Parlay Play, and Jock Market. On PrizePicks, these payouts never change from 25x going 6 to 6, and then that added insurance. What I want to do is take this one step further and compare this to an actual dynamic changing platform, a traditional sportsbook like FanDuel. Everybody knows who FanDuel is, right? And I want to show you how the math is altered when you pair two highly correlated plays together. We're going to be taking Trevor Lawrence over passing yards in the slip along with Josh Allen, not to jump too far ahead. But to show you guys that these are positively correlated, I'm going to break down the math here. So on FanDuel, by pairing these two together, this is saying, hey, if you pair these two together and they both hit the over, I'm getting $226 in return if this is going to hit. So plus 226 odds. And that's what FanDuel is saying they're going to pay me out for, right? But now let's take this a step further. Go over to a parlay calculator and see how this really should be paying out. See if maybe FanDuel is altering their payouts just a little bit. I know the answer to this question, but you guys don't. But let's see it firsthand. These are both minus 114 odds to hit. And what this parlay calculator is saying is that given the minus 114 odds on each one of these legs, the true parlay odds for this to hit is plus 252.39. So if I put in $100, I'm getting $252 in return. As opposed to FanDuel, where you're only putting in $100, you're getting $226 back. There's a huge difference there, right? So FanDuel is obviously altering these payouts. Why is that? Because these two plays are positively correlated. If Trevor Lawrence goes over his passing yards, then Josh Allen is more likely to go over his passing yards, right? Because the closer the game is, they're going to rely on their quarterbacks and throwing the ball, and organically is increasing their percent odds to hit. The sports books know this, and they adjust their payouts accordingly. They don't tell you that. They just alter it under the hood, which is, again, not that cool. But PrizePicks does not do that. They don't take correlation into consideration. I'm going to prove it to you. What we're going to do here is we're going to focus on the DGF Correlation Tool to show you guys the best correlated slip possible to take advantage of these fixed payouts and show you why the better bang for your buck exists on these fixed payout platforms. Let's now switch over to the Correlation Tool. The DGF Correlation Tool scans the entire market for the highest correlated value plays, the highest correlated legs together, puts them together, and only shows you the mathematically profitable slips by showing you the highest correlated plays and the highest profit margin slips overall. So what I'm going to show you is a slip here in a second that has the highest profit margin based on the heaviest correlation player props that are available at that specific time. But first, to show you guys why this strategy works, we publicly track all of our results dating back to August 18th, which was last month. So just over a month and a half now, you would be up 250 units by using this tool and taking every single slip recommended off this correlation tool. For a $100 bettor, that is $25,000. That is insane. Now I get it. Most of us aren't $100 unit bettors, but you guys can see here why this correlation tool works. Complete transparency. I'll put in the description below the exact link for you guys to check up on the correlation results so that you guys can see exactly what's coming in, what's being tracked for each specific day. So anyway, we're going to go down to the highest correlated slip on PrizePicks right now, and that is going to be Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, and Stephon Diggs. We're going to go over the individual player props here and just talk through this logically, right? So Josh Allen over 259.5 passing yards, we already have in our slip, right? Let's go ahead and go down to the next player, which is going to be Trevor Lawrence, and I already used him as an example here when talking about that FanDuel slip. But why the correlation tool actually takes this one step further is we've identified this as a softer prop. So 247.5 passing yards is actually a drop off. I believe his even line is set 1 yard lower. So every yard matters, of course. We're scanning through the market looking for these individual plus EV legs by comparing all sportsbooks markets. And we said, hey, Trevor Lawrence has a soft prop here. So we're going to positively correlate that specific leg with other positively correlated legs within that same game. Anyway, you guys get the point here. The DFS correlation tool automatically does that, which is freaking awesome, right? Let's now talk about heavily correlated legs together. Josh Allen positively affects Trevor Lawrence. And these are going to be very straightforward, but right now, this is the most positively correlated slip given the available player props on the PrizePicks board. Calvin Ridley, obviously very heavily correlated with Trevor Lawrence. So let's go ahead and throw him in 61.5 yards. Same thing with Christian Kirk, over 54.5 receiving yards. You guys can see that all of these are positively correlated. The better that Josh Allen does, then the more likely this is going to be a shootout, which means the wide receivers are going to be utilized as well. Trevor Lawrence is also positively correlated, very much so, with his own wide receivers, obviously. Same thing can be said on the flip side here with Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. So Diggs, we're throwing in there for the over, and then Gabe Davis, over 39.5 passing receiving yards, and that's going to be a 25x. You guys can see here that the payouts did not get altered by positively correlating these plays. But on a sports book like FanDuel, they are altered. And why did we select 6 legs? Because if we just positively correlated Josh Allen with Trevor Lawrence, we're missing out on that available opportunity where there's other correlated plays that are also going to bring up their organic odds even more. If Trevor Lawrence is positively correlated with Josh Allen, he's also even more so positively correlated with Calvin Ridley. But what if Calvin Ridley is even more positively correlated with Christian Kirk? And if all those guys are correlated, then that also must mean that Josh Allen alongside Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis are also very heavily positively correlated. And we can't put more than 6 legs, but I can almost guarantee you if we had the ability to, there would be even more legs I'd want to build onto the slip. So anyway, this optimized the best correlated slip for this Buffalo Bills and Jacksonville Jaguar matchup in London, and that's it for PrizePicks. But let's now focus on another fixed payout platform called Parlay Play. And actually on Monday Night Football, we had a positively correlated slip on Parlay Play hit for 22x. It didn't hit 40x because one of the legs pushed. I'm going to show you guys here. This was the Seahawks versus the Giants. So let's go ahead and take a look here. This was positively correlated because DK Metcalf was extremely aggressive. Therefore, we were recommending the under on all these players. Daniel Jones under passing yards, Slayton under receiving yards, Geno Smith under passing touchdowns, and then the over for punters. I'm going to explain why here in a second. So DK Metcalf obviously hit the under. Same thing with his quarterback. And then on the flip side, they hit their unders. But with punters, they actually went over, and we recommended the over because when wide receivers don't catch the ball and they don't get too many yards, the more likely that the game is prolonged and that the punters have more opportunities to punt. And there's not that much offense, and obviously they're going to be punting more. So anyway, this was a $50 slip. Obviously hit for 22x because of the push and turned this into $1,100 utilizing the correlation tool. This was the exact correlation slip that was recommended on Parlay Play. Anyway, we're going to do a Parlay Play slip together here from this exact game. And as you can see here, there's actually another game recommended for the top play. I might actually give you guys that one. Let's go ahead and check out here. Yeah, it's going to be unders, which is completely fine. Let's actually walk through this and why this is actually recommending the under. And I can actually already see why. Oh, wow, this one's actually fun. So let's talk about the game script here with the Parlay Play slip. What this is recommending is not that much passing, but more so running. Imagine they rely on the rushing attack more and that the running backs get more involved, then obviously the passing game won't be as involved in, which is why we're recommending the unders on passing yards. We're following a game script here by showing you guys the best bang for your buck props and what direction we should be going in, right? So obviously, when comparing back to PrizePicks here, this Josh Allen prop is a little bit more aggressive, right? Because he's set to 259 on PrizePicks, but he's set to 261.5 on Parlay Play. Same thing with Trevor Lawrence, a little bit higher. Calvin Ridley, three yards higher, and Gabe Davis. All these are a little bit aggressive, which is why this is recommending the under. And we're showing here that given all of those player prop points, why this is the highest recommended slip here in terms of profit margin and correlation score. I mean, it makes sense, right? So we're going to go ahead and throw Josh Allen into a slip here with Trevor Lawrence, Ridley, Davis, ETN, overs, of course. And then James Cook over rushing yards. Boom. So what we're hoping for is just a running affair. We're hoping that these guys start out on the ground, it stays close, and they just continue to ground and pound, and that the quarterbacks aren't utilized that much, and that the game is a little bit slower, and that the game clock keeps ticking. So all these things are taken into consideration when playing the highest correlated combos here within this slip. So really like this as well. There is nothing wrong with playing opposing game scripts here on two different slips, because my prize pick slip had all overs and my parlay play has all unders with a couple overs from rushing yards. We're obviously looking at two completely different game scripts, but the edge here is that the correlation is going to take you in one direction or the other, and that these organic players percent odds to hit are increased based on the correlation. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. If you haven't signed up for parlay play, be sure to use code DGF for 100% match up to $100. And also, if you did enjoy this content, please do hit that subscription button, notification bell, and of course, smash that like button for all of our future NFL content. With all that being said, have a great rest of your day, and let's cash.